What's up, guys? Before we start this episode, I would just like you to make sure you hit the subscribe button. This is really beneficial for the growth of the podcast, people who support it, and more importantly, more opportunities to get some amazing guests on. So let's get into this. So one of the things we're going to talk about today is something that is really close to my heart, and then I see it with so many ambitious people. And it underlines a lot of things. Some people think it's perfectionism. Some people think it's anxiety. Well, they all kind of correlate together. But the biggest thing that I'm seeing with so many ambitious people, it's fear. We're all fear-based. And I'm speaking when we say we because I've experienced it also. And now it's something what I help men overcome, break these limiting beliefs to get to that next stage of their life. But I'm going to discuss a journey of myself which is going to stem to other areas which you may relate in yourself. And you're going to start to see the benefits of what I'm going to be talking to you about today. And it's called, breaking the patterns, breaking the loops in yourself. If anyone like me, anyone who's listening to this is normally an ambitious person, someone who wants to learn more about themselves and grow. They've hit a crossroad. That's 90% of the people that are listening to my episode, which is amazing because that's the real people. That's where you want real connection, real meaning in life. But one thing that I've learned is understanding to become authentic to yourself. Now, my background, which I've discussed many times, is high-level sports, rugby league. And I always found via rugby league, everything was connected to performance. And if you're playing in these type of arenas where it's high level, there's pressure involved, you feel like sometimes that you can't make mistakes. But what you learn over your life is you have to make mistakes in order to grow, in order to improve. If you don't make mistakes, that's when you start to shrink as a person. And this shrinking can happen in all areas of your life. And I'm going to discuss this today with you because it's something that needs to be said, and it actually brings more power to you, more confidence to you, and actually not that confidence, that fake confidence that people you can see from a country mile away, the actual confidence that you don't have to shout off the rooftops. You can be confident in being quiet. Be confident in your approach to things. Be confident in conversation. Not have to people please. Not have to mold to other people. That's when you start to struggle with things like belonging. Feeling like you belong to things. Feeling like I don't fit in here, but I'm going to change me as a person in order to fit in. And I've experienced that in so many areas of my life. And I feel it comes down from a childhood experiences, which a lot of people deal with, is you get brought up from normally parents, your caregivers, one of them being a people pleaser, one of them trying to fit in all the time. And you've molded fitting in equals acceptance. Fitting in equals being one of the others. But deep down, you feel more lost than ever. Deep down, you might feel like you're in a social group, but you feel more lonely than being on your own. And there's something in that. And the biggest thing is you start to listen to that intuition. And the more and more I think about this, the more and more I realize how to break the pattern, and how many people I work with now break this pattern in themselves. Because when you go through experiences of life of trying to change, you get this internal feeling inside. This emotional shift inside of you. And it's going to feel discomforting. And in those moments of making change, your body's hardwired for this certain experience. So when you go against the grain, your nervous system's going to react. And when your nervous system's reacting, it's trying to keep you safe because it's telling you this path has always been safe to us, but it's never really had any meaning to it. So when you make change in life, you need to understand that you're going against the grain of what you know. You're going against what you think is right in order to actually be right. So it's a really interesting topic what we're going to be talking about. But I always found growing up, especially playing sports, it's just more of a easier access for me to notice it is playing rugby was always about my worth connected to achievements. Doing well made me feel good, which made me feel accepted by other people. But when I had serious knee reconstructions, injuries, I actually felt more lost than ever because I attached my whole identity to this worth of this identity of rugby, which changed my whole worth. Now, reflecting on that, I see people staying in relationships which they know they shouldn't be in anymore, because they don't want to have the fear of looking bad, feeling like they failed. So they stay in a relationship that hasn't no meaning, which has died long time ago, because the reflection in the mirror when they say that to themselves is, I failed, I'm not good enough. And in order to change comes across like, well, that's the unknown. And if I leave this relationship, who says I get something better? And that uncertainty keeps them in the trap. So they play small in their relationships. And maybe they're in a job right now that they're just cruising. It's not really giving them that fire in their belly. It's not really making them feel alive. And I'm not saying you have to feel that every day, but I like to feel like there's moments throughout the week or day that you feel like, oh, I'm deeply connected to this. I'm deeply feel like I'm in my area of growth and connection and excitement. And when it comes to sports, instead of playing it safe and feeling every time that 50-50 opportunity comes, instead of doing it, you actually hold yourself back from doing it because of the fear of being dropped, the fear of making a mistake. So what you do instead is you shrink yourself on the field and play small in sports, in high intensity situations. Or if it's in business, you know you need to take that plunge to the next level, but you hold back because that plunge might fail. But if you take that opportunity and you accept that you're going to make mistakes on the way, it can make you to your next breakthrough. It can take you to the next milestone financially. It might take you to a stage of having a staff member on board. It might take you to a position where you can scale your business instead of just running everything yourself and having control of everything, but keeping small. Because you can't be amazing in all these areas, but you have a certain niche in the area which you could be focusing on if you started to realize that there's going to be mistakes on the way. And that's the biggest thing. Once you flip that, and once you start to change the pattern, once you start to change the patterns that you've been doing for a long time, and you have a level of awareness to it, and you start to give yourself a level of grace when you make changes, that when you, for instance, speak up in a relationship, or actually have that hard conversation with someone, or actually prioritize your needs instead of others all the time, or maybe you feel like you don't want to talk all the time in conversation and it's draining you, it's okay to be in silence in those moments if that is who you are. If that is who you are. But you need to answer that question yourself and recognize, okay, in order to make those change, what's holding me back? What's holding me back? And that's in the subconscious. That belief might be that if I make that change, what happens if I don't find other friends? Or what happens if I make that change, and what happens if that next business opportunity doesn't come through? What happens if that relationship I leave, I don't find anyone better and I'm on my own forever? That's the internal dialogue that goes through a lot of people in their limited beliefs. So you have to change those beliefs. And how you change those beliefs is asking better questions and having a level of acceptance in yourself. Having a level of, I'm going to back myself on this journey because where I am right now is not giving me any meaning. It's not giving me any excitement. And let's just think right now, do you want to be in this position again in the next 5 years? Or are you going to constantly blame other people? Because I always tell people, if you're constantly blaming the finger and pointing the finger at other people, all the problems that you're going through right now, just remember there's 3 fingers pointing back at you. And you're the root of all your issues. You're the root of all your problems. And the more that you accept that you're the problem and you need to make the change, life will get easier for you. I guarantee that right now, life will get easier for you when you start to come to an acceptance that you are the root of all of the issues in your life. And you are the root that can change all of these issues in your life, as long as you put the action in place. But the biggest thing is understanding you have confidence in change. You can have confidence and belief in change without actually having proof of it physically. You can do these things. Trust me. I've done them. But when I was talking about earlier with the sports scenario and bringing it back to where it is right now, I had to change my worth on myself because my worth was always about fitting in, was always about connecting with people. And my worth was always, I'll be liked if they like me. I'll be liked if I do good at rugby. I'll be liked if I do good at my business. And deep down, what that did was just create low self-esteem, low self-worth. And I'm going to guarantee right now, if you are constantly seeking validation from other people and filling their goals and filling their needs, you will never achieve anything meaningful in your life because you are focused on all of the others instead of yourself. Now, in order for you to get this in your life, get all of the things you truly want, you have to go back to an alignment. You have to go back to getting clear on what it is you actually want and what are you willing to let go of currently in your life in order to do it. Or accept that you're always going to be in this emotional pain all the time. You're going to have these straps on your ankles, straps on your wrists, holding you back forever, and you're going to be dragging this unneeded weight with you go. And that's the biggest thing. Now, I really generally see myself as your typical blokey bloke. I'm your working class background, upbringing, and if I can make a change for myself, if I can really build true self-worth, not from seeking it in others, but actually doing the work myself and actually investing in myself, damn straight anyone else can do it. Damn straight. For a guy who had 2 GCSEs in school that was never amounting to anything, teachers would tell me. And all I had to focus on was rugby. And if that guy can transform his mindset and actually have a successful business, working with over 150 men in high achievers to get the things they truly want in their life, purely by asking the right questions and shifting their emotions and feeling internally better so they can start to take actions in their life, then you can. Whatever it is you're in. But everything you do in life is a part of the mind. It's all connected to the mind. Now, I'm going to touch on mistakes. What I've realized with a lot of men don't fear mistakes. They fear what it attaches to who they are. If they make mistakes, they feel like they've failed. And if they've failed, they start to second guess themselves. They start to doubt themselves. They start to overthink situations. They start to spiral. And the biggest thing that starts to happen then is you start to see micro changes in other people, their patterns, their behaviors. And it might not actually be anything connected to you, but you create that it's connected to you. And this starts to ignite your nervous system. And when it starts to ignite your nervous system, you start to shut down. You start to tighten up in the chest. And the way that you can overcome this is coming back to the root, which is all stem from worth, which is all stem from who you are. Changing this belief system. You can change this belief system by asking different questions. Is this actually true what you're creating in your head right now, or are you making it up? How can you change your nervous system is by breathing techniques, by checking in with yourself, telling yourself you're safe in these situations, and not looking at the big picture, just taking that next step. That's a big one. More importantly, getting clear on what it is you want. If you can get clear on what it is you want and actually understand what's going on, you recognize right now this is fear trying to protect you. These emotions, these thoughts, it's trying to shrink you so you're safe. But if you can catch your thoughts, catch what's going on, you can start to break this pattern. And you can start to self-talk to yourself that you're safe in these environments instead of letting your mind override you, letting your emotions override you and derailing what path you're on. Now, this is the difference between you having a successful relationship, having success in your business, and more importantly, having success with yourself. Instead of overthinking every situation, how about you get real with yourself and start communicating what it is you truly want? Start communicating to your partner what's going on in your world. Start communicating to work colleagues where you're at right now and what you want to do next. And stop telling everyone. Use your actions. Take action in what you want to do. I'm going to give you some advice right now. Nothing changes until you decide to take action in your life. And the only way that you're going to break your overthinking mind and stop playing it small is being comfortable to say no in situations. Stop allowing your relationship to shrink your confidence. Stop allowing your worth to be connected to other people. Stop bowing down to people at work and doing their work on top of your work. Implementing boundaries, communicating your needs, backing yourself. Seeing the proof of the work that you've done for the last decade, 15, 20 years, and proving that you're good enough. Once you start to back yourself in those situations, even though internally there's discomfort, that's when you start to break the limitations. That's when you start to grow as a person. That's when you see fear as growth. When you can start to say things like, no, I'm not doing that, I've got other things to do. Or when you start to speak up for your needs in your relationships, actually being clear on what's going on in your world and validating your needs instead of others all the time, that's when you're going to start to grow. That's when you're going to start to see high self-esteem. That's when you're going to see more confidence. That's when you're going to take more opportunities instead of letting fear override you.